Happy Arbor Day, everyone. Today is a day where we focus on the importance of trees. Many of us plant them or raise awareness. And I will raise awareness by talking about the 1990s animated film Ferngully, The Last Rainforest. I can't think of a movie that better shows the importance of trees than this one. A lot of people think that environmental animated films can be really preachy, and lots of them really can, in all honesty. They can have messages that are tacked on too much or brought up in the last minute, and it loses its impact, even feeling like it's from a different movie. Ferngully, that isn't the case with. Most of the movie is spent in the rainforest, and when we see how beautiful it is with all the plants and creatures, it really makes you feel like part of it and want to protect it. It's it's set in a rainforest in Australia, and it's interesting seeing some of these Australian animals in such an environment, such as kangaroos, when normally they're seen in a bush setting. But I digress on that matter. All the plants and creatures are just so beautiful to look at. That blue lizard that tries to eat Zack later in the film, he's just so colorful and an interesting character, and all the plants. We get to see the trees up close, all the fungi on the trees, little petals of flowers that work very well since we're mostly seeing it from the sides of the fairies. So that allows for different ways we can look at the plants. At one point, Pips uses a mushroom, open mushroom, as a bowl for berries for Batty. And just the way the trees look, all of them having their own design, some of them twisting around, and the one where Hexes is contained early in the film, are just so beautiful to look at. As such, the animation really worked for this film to take you into the rainforest. The characters are also really likable. Krista is a young, curious fairy that wants both to fulfill her destiny and protect Ferngully, but she also has a sign of curiosity towards the human world. It makes it easy to sympathize with her when we see her struggling to do what she's supposed to do and having trouble with her powers, but we also love her for her just passion for everything around her, wanting to know all about both Ferngully and the human world. Zack starts off as a stereotypical teenager, irresponsible, and he's unaware of the importance of the forest. This changes largely when he meets Krista, and over the movie he starts to care more about trees, and by the end he'll have learned a valuable lesson about the forest and why it must be preserved. It's really nice to see the two main leads really interacting with each other and learning from each other, and they lead to many nice scenes that are just gentle and slower, but still great to watch. Scenes like where he shows her fire, or when they're in that little pond with all those little puddles and are holding hands and they kiss. It's just such a sweet scene where nothing really pertinent to the plot happens, and the relationship doesn't go in the stereotypical animated film way, happily ever after, but still nice to see it. Other scenes in the films, particularly with the animals and just seeing the majesty of Ferngully, work the same way. They aren't really important to the plot in the sense of three-act structure, but they do help the plot by making us care about Ferngully, so we won't want to see it destroyed. Now let's talk about Batty. He's voiced by Robin Williams. Enough said. Okay, not enough said. Well, he is a character that has two levels to him. One, he's the funny comic relief. Two, he shows another side of what humans can do to nature. He is hilarious throughout all the scenes and always has a snarky reply, usually applied to Zach, and a phobia of humans that is very justified given what he's gone through. But on the other hand, he shows a sign of... He's very much an example of what animal experimentation can do. Not Secret of Nim level dark, but still pretty bad. We see that he's been used and abused. Red wires, screen wires stuck him right through him. Line said in the actual Batty rap, which is a very interesting song when it's the comic relief song, but also has such dark overtones. We see Batty's brain has been addled by it and constantly says things that, while funny, still are scary to think of how much he's been altered. And of course we have our villain, Hexus. Similarly to Robin Williams with Batty, Tim Curry makes this character. But still, just the way he moves, especially when he first comes out of the tree, his inexplicable knowledge of how humans work and who they are, even though he's been locked away for such a long time, make him a very threatening villain. Plus, he has a really great villain song, and obviously Tim Curry's vocals make it one of the best non-Disney villain songs I've ever heard. Really, this was one of my first Tim Curry roles that I came across other than Long John Silver, so this really means a lot to me, this movie, for that. There's so much to say about this movie's message. It's more subtle than other animated films with it, and it focuses mainly on the beauty of the forest. If we just say something like, if you chop down all these trees, the forest dies by its own, it could come across as preachy. Now if we see how beautiful the forest is, then people start to care. The importance of trees is really highlighted with certain scenes, like when Krista tells Zach to listen to the forest, and we have some great songs about nature and conservation, like It's Raining Life and Life is a Magic Thing, that really work well for the film. The only songs that are really sung are the Batty Rap and Toxic Love, both of which really work for their respective characters, and they really fit with how Batty and Hexus are the real hams of the movie, so it really is good that they gave them the songs for it. I don't know how much more to say of this movie that hasn't already been said. It has a great message of nature and conservation and talks about the balances of creation and destruction when it comes to nature and how humans can throw it off. But also, we see another side. For one, Zach is going to tell people in his city all about the importance of trees in the forests. And second, if we are to believe the opening where we see some beautiful cave paintings, well, tree paintings, if you want to nitpick, and Maggie's moon story about humans, that there was a time that they weren't destructive to the forest, which I think really connects with man's lost connection with nature. So it's not as much of a man is evil story as some might perceive it to be. So, if you want an animated film that teaches conservation in a respectable and more three-dimensional way, Ferngully the Last Rainforest is an excellent choice for it. Today's question is, what animated forest would you most want to explore? And as always, if you have a suggestion for an animated film for me to review, please leave it in the comments. Until then, take it easy.